now if we move into the Two Rivers, things are tense there. We've got Perrin and Alanna down, and you've got Padan Fain with the Two Rivers in his sights. And nobody needs that sociopath in their backyard.
No, and he's pretending to be a Whitecloak.
Yes!
Goody.
I like that he took a step up from pretending to be a traveling merchant.
I hope every season that we see Padan Fain, he is moonlighting as another occupation
I do
besides
too. I
Dark Friend.
really think that his next job should be like chimney sweep.
If you would like to help support the channel, check out Road to Tarvalon on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here with Laura, and we are on episode 6 of season 3, the Wheel of Time podcast. Laura, what about this episode did you like the most?
The opening scene. I'm not kidding.
The Leandrin flashback.
Yeah. Okay, so this opening scene really puts a face on Leandrin's trauma and why she's made the choices she made. When she was at her most vulnerable, Ishamael was there to help when no one else would. He saw her when she felt her most invisible. You cannot buy that kind of loyalty from someone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, nor can you like instill enough fear for that kind of loyalty. So when you think about it, of course she ended up being a dark friend. And I don't really think anyone could blame her with an origin story like that.
Yeah, I have to wonder too if any of her incidents as a young woman is something that she saw in Nynaeve, because Nynaeve is an orphan. Nynaeve had a pretty rough life, and so it kind of builds on that connection between the two of them as well.
Definitely. I really think that this season is like the season of killer opening scenes.
They've all been really good.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think the ones that have something to do with the Forsaken are just always great.
Yeah, those have definitely been the best so far.
Yeah.
But, you know, we go like right from that into Leandrin's dream. And I find it really interesting that Leandrin dreams of being Amyrlin to a quiet and dark hall.
Oh, yeah. So when we got that scene in one of the trailers, I was really thinking, okay, first off, who is that there? Oh, it's Leandrin and Lanfear. That has to be in Tel'aran'rhiod, right? But the fact that she's dreaming about this and she's envisioning herself not in the Amyrlin's gowns, but first her red Ajah gown with the Amyrlin's stole over her shoulders, it says a lot.
It does. But I think what really stood out to me was that it was a dark and quiet hall. No one was there.
Yeah. And I think her origin story also explains why she chose the red Ajah.
Oh,
I mean, she
oh my
hates
God.
men.
Can you
Hates.
blame her?
No.
Her first experience with channeling was out of extreme fear, and she kills 2 men. Like, her path was written for her before she even knew what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just another great way that the show is building on some of these more antagonistic bad guys where they're given so much and it's so much better for it.
Oh, definitely. You know, I've noticed that like through the episode, because you know, like Lanfear inevitably enters her dream, and it's really on brand for Lanfear to like switch it up and put herself in the seat and Leandrin on her knees to remind her who's in charge. But everybody wants to know who's working for Ravn. That's like a big focal point in this issue is who's working for Ravn. Lanfear wants to know. Moghedien wants to know. Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, where do all of these allegiances lie? So now it's not as simple as black and white, good versus bad. Now we're seeing that inside this, the groupings within the side of the shadow, who's working for who, and it makes everything so much more complex.
Absolutely.
Which this is going to be a good thing for the show, but it's also going to be a bad thing for people who like to double screen and aren't paying attention.
Yeah. And it, it goes back to like that Forsaken scene where everybody wants to be nameless.
Yeah.
So we're really kind of seeing that like start to drum up and getting some behind the scenes, like who's doing what to get to where they want.
Yeah.
Is Robin like known for having a spy network? Is that his thing?
No, not really.
Okay.
But I mean, they all tend to have dark friends, I feel like, under their employment,
Right.
quote unquote, employment in a way. But Ravine, it's interesting because he is fulfilling the role that he has in the books, but the main aspect of his role in the books we haven't seen yet on this show.
Okay.
And so, if we get a season 4, I have a feeling that's going to be one of the big aspects to it,
Ooh.
unless we get some more of these, unless we get more switchings into what's happening with him outside of Forsaken stuff. Because right now, like, he has to just be back in Camelin living it up. We don't know what's happening there. So
Right.
I don't know if we'll get more of Morgaze, if we'll get anything else like that, but we will have to wait and see. I really hope that we do get to see a little bit more of that aspect because in the books, that's really like his driving force right there. And in the show, he's basically just, he's kind of in this peripheral spot where everyone is worried who his alliances are with. And so, I don't know. I love how Moghedien at this point, I mean, she's, for one, she's so
She is a
unhinged.
menace. A
The scene of
menace.
her
Why does she
bringing the
have someone's
laundry.
underwear in her mouth, dude? Like, oh my God. Like, oh, the scene where she's like chewing up the food and spitting it back in. Oh, oh God. What was she? Oh my God. Like, worst house guest ever.
But it's so, I mean, now you get to see why everyone has issues with Moghedien because if Lanfear is unstable and she's very unstable, Moghedien is just what a that is a case that should be studied.
Yeah, like, because like her being the spider kind of builds it into like, I did not expect this. I didn't expect lingerie in the mouth, chewing up food and spitting it back in. Like, she's having a good time while she's trying to accomplish her goals.
I feel like this name, the spider, there's so many different interpretations of it because not only is she, yes, hiding in the shadows and like a bug, there's really no job that's beneath her at this point, her pretending to be a servant, but also that aspect of like a spider just like pulling the legs off of another insect before it eats it. She's playing with her food. She's doing unhinged stuff. Like, it's a
It
lot.
is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's like it's a lot to the point where like I kind of forget that she does actually have like she has like a real scene too. Like we're in Tanchico, everybody's having a good old time. We're meeting old friends like Tom the Gleeman, which was exceptional.
Tom is back.
Uh
I was so excited.
we see Moghedien too towards the end. I can't remember the name of the woman that she catches waiting.
Ispan.
Ispan. So she catches Ispan in Tel'aran'rhiod and she's like kind of interrogating her. And then suddenly Ispan's like, wait, who are you? And she goes back to like just a spider that you brush away and never think of again. And then, she like, I'm not exactly.
Gives her the two-finger death punch through the occipital
Yeah. Like
bone.
she gets what she wants. She kills Ispan anyway. And then now we're back
hmm
to like, and that circled us back around to who's working for Ravine.
All of the Forsaken are plotting this episode because at the beginning, when we're in the Aiel Waste, Lanfear meets up with
Yeah,
Moraine.
and she's like, I got a surprise for them. Don't intervene.
Right. And after we saw what happened,
Oh, I
Moraine,
have so much to
I
say about
mean,
that.
well, let's cover all of the Aiel Waste stuff and then we'll get to it sooner.
Okay.
So we've got Egwene defying the wise ones by going into Teleron Road. She's like, oh, by the way, I lied. I went into Tel'aran'rhiod, and also I'm lying about being an Aes Sedai, but also I need you to help me figure out how to stop Lanfear. And they're like, okay, let's do it. So that was neat and tidy.
Yeah, luckily everybody was real chill as she like sped past all of her lies.
Yeah.
But like when we talk about this meeting with Lanfear and Moraine, I could imagine that's really stressful for Moraine after, viewing herself in a loop of 1,000 ways to die by Lanfear.
Yeah.
But like also Lanfear's primary like number one thing on the agenda is to be like you're supposed to be keeping Egwene and Rand separated. Like my lady,
So
it's
unhinged.
what why are
Milady.
you wasting your time? Like you're what's Moraine going to do? Put them in timeout from one another? Like this is what you're spending your time doing. No wonder Sammael was giving you shit about it.
Lanfear could be doing great things for the side of the shadow if she wasn't so singular focused.
She is it is all so incredibly singular.
But I do enjoy this push and pull struggle between Lanfear and Moraine in terms of who's going to control Rand, because although their allegiances to the light and dark differ greatly, Lanfear and Moraine are both kind of treating Rand in a similar way.
Yeah.
And we're starting, I think, now to finally see Moraine. She's going to have a conscience, I feel like, after what just
I
happened.
personally think that Moraine and Lanfear that the joke's going to be on them because Rand's not going to be controlled by either of them.
No,
I don't get the
no.
idea. Like he might be buying into Lanfear's like little song and dance for the moment and like feeling especially soft towards her after his time in the glass columns, but when it comes down to it, I don't get the idea that Rand is looking to be controlled by anybody, let alone the two of them.
I mean, after this great display of power by Rand in this episode,
I have been dying to see him channel in dragon mode
yeah,
because up until now we've only gotten these like small little he channels like anybody else channels kind of thing, but this is the first time we've really gotten like him channeling as the dragon, and I don't know as though I fully understood how powerful he was.
yeah, we've only been given just a little taste of it so far. And I will say in season 2, a lot of people were disappointed that Rand didn't have enough payoff with his storyline. But this season is, I can understand people being like, I wanted more last season. But the way that it's headed, it feels like the buildup has really climbed. And I don't know if it would have been the same way if we would have gotten that last season.
Yeah, I could see that.
But, like a year and a half wait is also not great.
And like
So,
there's a lot going into Rand channeling right now. We have the big blowout with Egwene.
okay, I just want to say one thing. This whole blowout scene between him and Egwene really primed him for this disturbing, emotional, overpowered scene of channeling, I
Yeah.
feel like.
So like,
He was on the edge.
the blowout between them is pretty aggressive in a lot of ways, but at the same time it's very honest in a way that they normally aren't with each other. He talks about feeling inadequate to her ambition, even as the dragon. But I don't think that anybody could be upset with her for wanting more in life than to live in his shadow. She wants to be great on her own.
Yeah.
Things are getting a little bit more okay. And then they're kind of like, yeah, we shouldn't be together. And then she's like, but hold on a second. Did you know? And he's like, no, what? And then she brings up Lanfear. And so now Rand is having to face who Lanfear was and who she is now in a really short time span.
Yeah. Him learning Lanfear was torturing her. That was
With
it.
her trauma, like not just torturing her, but torturing her with torture trauma.
As awful as he has been putting Egwene through this, leading her on in this way while he's spending every night with Lanfear, I guess the only caveat to that is him truly recognizing at this point how much he screwed up and how much of a terrible person Lanfear is. And there's a reason why Lanfear hasn't shown that to him, I think. She's trying to hide
She
this,
should be
but
trying to hide that.
he wasn't ready. I mean,
Who would
if
be ready for that? Who on earth? What reasonable person? And Rand is like, for all like sakes and purposes, a pretty reasonable person. Like, who would be like, you know what? That's totally chill.
right. I have to wonder though if this charade had been going on longer and Lanfear had sunk her claws into him much earlier, if it would have changed anything.
It could have. I think it would have taken him really falling for her in a way that he did not.
Different time, different
Yeah,
place.
different turn of the wheel kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think that, like, with his path and this turn of the wheel and how things have gone, I don't think that he's entrenched enough in his feelings for her to be like, it's fine. We're just going to skip over this.
Yeah.
And then, oh, go
This
ahead. Sorry.
Sama, are we going to the
Yeah, that's
attack
exactly where
now?
I was going.
It goes
So
hard. It goes
hard.
so hard. It's
Why
so
is
good.
that hammer go so hard? I don't know
That was
if
all caps in my notes. Sammael with the one power warhammer.
so
What?
like I don't know if that's what his weapon looks like in the books, but the way the show presented it, I loved it. Very impressive. And like not
It
only
was
that,
great.
but Rand's coming off of the breakup with Egwene, like the final breakup with Egwene, finding out that the woman he thinks he cares about is a full-blown sociopath, and that he did not see that. And then he's got Sammael and 3 Shido on him. And you know, Egwene, for as talented and as powerful as she is still relatively new to all of this. And so nobody can blame
Hmm.
her for not being a match for a Forsaken and 3 Shido.
Yeah, and this wasn't something that she could really prepare for. In season one, she gets knocked around by a Ishamael and she kind of sneaks back into the picture with the shield. This attack, it was too much too fast. The Shido are out here doing bicycle kick ninja moves. We've got Samael with his warhammer. Like it is
You know
just
what I
pandemonium.
loved is when Samael shows up to take care of business, first of all. Like, he did not come to play. But secondly,
No
I
words.
found it
Yeah.
interesting how he rolls in and calls Rand Luz Theron as though Rand understands the history there. Like, if I were Rand, I would get so tired of it. I'd be like, you know what, guys? I'm not loose. I know you guys all want me to be loose, Theron, but I'm not. I am a different person.
Samael is really holding on to that loose there and grudge.
Right? And
And Rand's like,
it's an
what? Who?
ageless beef.
The beef of time.
That's basically what this season has been, the beef of time, the wheel of beef.
Uh,
But like, you know what else I didn't expect? Was Avienda to burst in with 2 flaming swords.
yeah, she was
And I had to
great.
double take
That
it
was
because what is
awesome.
she doing wielding swords? Is this something special for the
It was her
wise ones? Oh,
spears.
those were
It was her.
to me they looked
Yeah.
like swords.
Their spears are kind of sword-ish
Okay,
looking,
fair.
but she shows up in the nick of time.
Yeah, she
Good on
does.
her. I love how she's like, I don't want to be a wise one, I want to be a fighter. And now she's learning that, hey, just because I'm a wise one doesn't mean I can't get in on the action, which is got to be so great for her. Not saying
Yeah.
that she wanted this to happen,
I think she
but
underestimated how much action there would be in this close of proximity to the dragon.
right? If she wants to fight, all she needs to do is follow him around because
But can we talk about how this was quite the surprise that Lanfear planned? Here's my thing. Was it actually to like break up Rand and Egwene, or was it to get rid of Sammael?
I think
Because
she was hoping for both.
okay, yeah, 2 birds, one lightning bolt.
One Samael, 12 lightning bolts.
Oh, there was so much power. So much power in that channeling.
It looked so cool.
It
The
really
way that he's
did.
hit with all of these multiple lightning strikes while he's almost like holding, it almost looks like he's filtering his channeling through a fist, like his closed hand
Yeah.
almost. And he's not, he's got his back turned to the dude and hits him, just wallops the guy
It's
with
like
so
Rand was
many
in a
lightning bolts.
yeah, like Rand was in a trance doing this.
Yeah,
It also puts a lot of the race to to have Rand declare allegiance to the light or shadow into perspective. Like, what a weapon.
right.
How do you fight that? Like, honestly, how would you fight that?
You would need a whole army of channelers.
To fight one.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to, like, not upset him ahead of time.
Right? I think so. As much as I loved the channeling, as much as I loved Sammael and the look and the CGI and all of that,
There's also a dark side to all of this, much darker than even the him and Egwene stuff.
yeah, this scene of him trying to heal Alsara who died, Alsara who died, this is,
I can't imagine. I cannot begin to imagine knowing that my actions killed a child, but Rand's response was kind of worrisome. Like that much power being thrown around in moments of madness is incredibly dangerous.
yeah, the thing that I want to focus on for a second is just the portrayal as it is, like Yosha Stradowski, the actor, becoming Rand al'Thor, because you can't play the part of Rand without being able to nail these like really emotional, intense moments. And he's not just playing the character, like he is literally becoming Rand. And the way that he is screaming, I can heal anything. What does the prophecy say? And he's crying and like laughing maniacally. And he's saying, I bring destruction,
Yeah,
but also creation. And he's screaming, breathe, breathe. And the way that everyone is looking at him right now,
you can't blame them though.
they finally got it, I
Yeah,
think. This guy that Egwene, speaking, about Egwene, this guy that she's known her whole life, she just got her first glimpse of who the Dragon Reborn is, what he's capable of, a touch of the madness, all of it.
this goes way further than what she saw in the Arches.
Right. Yeah.
Because in the Arches all she's seeing is just like the madness, and she doesn't see him kill Perrin and Matt. She just knows that he does in the Arches due to the madness. But watching like what he's capable of right now had to be a really like somber moment for her.
Yeah, it has to be a big wake up call. And I mean, I'm sure she had an idea, but it kind of goes back to Lanfear not being wrong about she doesn't understand.
Yeah, Lanfear's
Now she
not wrong.
understands.
And she does understand. And I get how Lanfear's like, I accept the dark parts of you. I'm just really curious to see like his and Lanfear's next interaction.
Yeah, I really think that Lanfear was hoping to get this out of Rand to show and scare Egwene out of her connection with him, knowing that Rand, she probably didn't expect him to have this moment of like crazed crying and laughing and screaming, but I bet she was banking on Egwene seeing how much he can channel and just how devastating that is. And maybe she was hoping that Rand wouldn't be able to control his channeling and more people would die than what actually we saw. So,
Yeah, maybe she was hoping Samael and Egwene would die.
yeah. Or, Rand killing this whole village of Aiel. And even if Egwene dies, great. But if she witnesses Rand killing an entire city, also good for Lanfear.
Right. Actually, any of it works out for Lanfear at this point.
The only other thing from this scene that I want to touch on is the fact that Rand can't stop channeling. And the one thing
Yeah,
that
he
allows
gets
him to stop is Moraine touching him.
yeah, he gets locked in again, and that's not the first time we've seen that happen, but this is definitely the most dangerous time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he caused an earthquake earlier in the episode when he was talking to Moraine.
Yeah, just getting like in the zone of channeling, he caused an earthquake, like you were talking about, and but like getting locked into channeling with this much power coursing through him is dangerous for everyone around.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can see why the Dark One chose Ishamael as nameless and won't let Lanfear be nameless.
We will see. Maybe she will be. We don't
I
know
mean,
yet.
maybe. Oh god, she would be insufferable as nameless. You'd never hear the end of it from her.
What location do you want to move to next?
Well, really, the only option is to go back to Tanchico or go to Two Rivers.
Okay.
Dealer's
Dealer's
choice.
choice.
Oh, okay. I feel like we have to talk about the Two Rivers. So now, if we move into the Two Rivers, things are tense there. We've got Perrin and Alanna down, and you've got Padan Fain with the Two Rivers in his sights. And nobody needs that sociopath in their backyard.
No, and he's pretending to be a Whitecloak. So,
Yes!
goody.
I like that he took a step up from pretending to be a traveling merchant.
I hope every season that we see Padan Fain, he is moonlighting as another
I
occupation
do too.
besides
I
Dark
I
Friend.
really think that his next job should be like chimney sweep.
uh,
They have chimneys. It could be a thing.
it could be a thing. It could happen.
But, we get that like that moment where they're like, "Oh, our reinforcements have shown up," and it's him.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's
Him and his
like,
dark friends.
"What are you doing? How did you not know it was him? Like, why is he here? Who is he connected to? Who gave him who vouched for this man?" Or like, I guess like all you would have to do is just get some uniforms and, it's probably a big enough organization. Nobody knows everybody.
I assumed he ran into some of the White Cloaks somewhere before he joined their camp, like with Dane.
And then
And that's
killed
why he
them.
was all bloody.
Yeah.
Because Dane was like, "What happened to you?" And he's like, "A couple Trolloc
Yeah, but that's a
fights
good
here and
cover.
there."
That's a real good
Yeah.
cover. Ran into some Trollocs, ran through some Trollocs, and now we're here.
Yep. He probably just killed a bunch of White Cloaks and took their outfits.
Probably. Oh, I do love his new haircut. Good for him. New
He's looking
season,
great.
new pattern. Love it.
Also, Eamon Valda's half and half
Love
haircut,
it.
hairstyle. He's killing it too.
Yeah, he is.
Man, our baddies this episode came out to play full force.
They're really like outshining the good side this episode.
Yeah.
So we finally find out who the channeler in the cage was. And it's not
Yes.
one, but it's two channelers in the cage.
Twins. Yeah.
I am so curious about the twin aspect there. Like, obviously they're both channelers. Obviously they're identical. Does like holding hands together like boost their power? Is their power connected?
I have a theory. We've never seen something like this in the books. The show could do something really cool here and have. Okay, I gotta back up a step. A lot of women, when they first start channeling, they'll end up teaching themselves tricks. So like one of the big ones that you'll see is compulsion. So women who haven't been taught will start to kind of learn how to channel and they do it almost accidentally, but they end up with some pretty cool party tricks like eavesdropping, compulsion, like light compulsion, stuff like that.
Right.
I have to wonder if these two young girls, because they are twins and like twins have like a very unique, like very connected everything in terms of
Yeah,
like mental and physical and
especially
biological.
when they're identical.
Right. So I have to wonder if maybe one of their tricks is almost always channeling, not always, but being able to channel in a circle without trying, like always feeding off of each other's, where like one would be harnessing both of their energy every time they channel or something like that. I could see them working something like that into the story and building on it because it just, I don't know, like it seems like a
I
cool
love,
way to do
yeah.
something new with channeling,
I love the idea of twin channelers who can like link together no matter what.
right? As long as they're in somewhat proximity to each other, that would be awesome.
Yeah. But like also Alana's really lucky. She was able to walk them through how to heal her so easily. Like they must be pretty powerful if
Yeah,
they're so like capable with zero refinement.
right? And on top of that, Alana's no slouch either. She's
Oh,
on
absolutely
death's
not.
door and just walked them through the basics to healing.
You know,
Like, she did great.
I really hope that she's able to work with them some because with Padan Fain's appearance, we know there's dark times ahead for the Two Rivers.
Yeah,
He did not come to go on a picnic.
no.
He he it looks like he's trying to take out two birds, one stone as well because he
Mm-hmm.
wants to wipe the Two Rivers and I have to assume the Whitecloaks, and if he can do both at the same time, good on him, I guess. But you know what else I'm really pumped about in the Two Rivers?
What?
I am here for the Fael and Perrin romance.
Ooh, okay.
I'm
Okay,
I'm
let's
really
hear it.
loving this. So like, they have these moments where they share these really deep and dark experiences with each other, but I think it's really good for him to move on and to find some semblance of a life with somebody who actually sees all of him and accepts him.
Yeah, I love how she's like, "Oh, you can talk with wolves. That's weird, but I don't care."
Yeah.
Finally, someone who gets it. Finally.
Yeah, and like he tells her about his wife and she manages to take such a dark scenario and kind of find a way to put a more positive spin on it. Like when she says by mourning her this long, you take her honor from her,
Yeah,
talking about how she fought really well in that first battle at the Two Rivers that we see in like what our first episode of season 1.
yeah.
We've really gotten to see Perrin develop in a lot of ways this season. And I think like a big part of his development has to do with the people closest to him.
I think so. He really needed to get out of his group with Matt and Rand and everyone else. It becomes very obvious that he did need to go back to the Two Rivers and he did need to be surrounded by new people and Fail, Bane and Chiad, Loyal. Like, what a good group for Perrin. Fail is just, she's a really great character if you ignore the problematic stuff from the books. But
What's the problematic stuff from the book?
her and Perrin slap each other a lot and spank each other. Perrin spanks her like she's a bad girl. I think Robert Jordan was just,
I'm glad
I
the show.
mean,
I'm glad that the Amazon
not
reworked that because, like,
I'm not trying to kink shame a dead man, but like that was just awkward in the
it
books.
would have been awkward in the show too.
Yeah, but I did love him showing her the drawing of Matt Cawthon, and he was like, "That's my friend Matt. He's the horn blower." And she's like, "I've been talking about being a hunter for the horn this whole time, and you didn't tell me." And it was just cute,
Well, I think he was like, well, I didn't know if you were like taking it seriously, but now I know you are.
right? We also have to talk on how this episode
Oh
ended.
my God, the ending it like that?
Yeah, the
Oh,
Waygate
that's
open, Bane
criminal.
and Chiad and Fael being like, uh-oh, now what?
Yeah, because I mean, they're just walking hundreds of Trollocs in the door.
Yep.
Like, and it's scary to think about that because we've seen how many people are in the Two Rivers.
Yeah. It's gonna be quite the predicament.
I'm so excited for the next episode.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Tanchico before we wrap it
Oh,
up
okay.
because I have to go back to Tom and his reunion with Matt. It was so good to
It
see.
was hilarious. You know, when Matt runs into Tom, it basically is like, well, I don't blame Tom for being like, look, my guy, I don't want any of your drama. Whatever you and your redhead friend have planned, leave me out. But then it's like Matt got him with his own moves, so now he has to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When Matt repeated to him the best lessons in life are often the most costly. I got a really good laugh about that because it takes you like right back to that episode in season 1 where Tom says that to him.
Yeah. When Matt first hears music and it clicks for him, like, hey, I know who that is. Tom was actually singing a ballad about the Horn of
I know,
Valir.
I love that song.
Okay, awesome. So we got that music, and then we also had a debut by Tom's freshly minted Gleeman's apprentice, Elayne.
Uh, you know, I really can't be upset with her. Like, she's blending in. Like she said, it's a good thing that she does so much background research into everything that she's even ready for an impromptu musical performance.
Do you know what I love the most about it? Is that she didn't just choose a song about Tanchico that she can work in, like she's one of the locals, but she had to choose a vulgar song, a song that the daughter heir should have no place talking
I
about
don't
or
think she
singing.
really fully understood what the reference to two hills were until she was like in the song looking around and then she was like, "Oh my.
I better
This is
shimmy.
not about the hills that the wealthy live on. This is about Brest." But I mean, she stayed in character, like she nailed the accent for the locals, like she did a great job. Well performed.
Do you want to know a little Elaine Easter egg from the books?
Yes.
One of her most endearing aspects, in my opinion, is her love for cursing. So she'll be, it always really disarms people because she's the daughter heir, very prim and proper, but she loves learning new curse words from like the lowest of the low. And so when she's up there talking, singing about the hills of Tanchico, I was like, oh my God, it's so her. It's so her. I loved it.
Before we end this, I want to talk real quick about this hunt for the trio, the two cuffs and the collar. Um
Yeah.
Girl, as quickly as they get that cuff, they lose it.
Yeah.
They're so excited. They rush home. They've got the cuff, and Moghedien's like, "Surprise, surprise, I'm here. And you're going to give me the cuff." And then Moghedien said some weird stuff about how I'm going to come back and you're going to let me do whatever I want. That was kind of weird. She could have like worded that differently, but whatever. But you also got to admit, Moghedien's making real headway here.
She is. She
Like,
absolutely
in
is.
a way that Lanfear is not.
Correct.
Lanfear's playing games all because of Rand, and Moghedien's like, well, I'm going to get the stuff I need to take control of Rand.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if Moghedien were to collar Rand, like how Lanfear would lose her mind?
Yeah.
A part of me wants
Yeah.
to see it just to see Lanfear's response.
Just to see Lanfear lose.
Yeah, I just want to see it for the drama.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what happens.
I was going to say you do know, but I feel like Moghedien's not going to cuff Rand. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I do wish that we had gotten a little exposition on what Moghedien thinks about Leandrin becoming a Forsaken.
Yeah.
Or
How?
how does that work? Is that a thing? Can she do that? Can she just like put in her application for a promotion?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of feel like if we go by the books, I feel like something big has to happen. Like you got to have, a sit down with something that's a primordial force of nature and not a human, aka the Dark One. How does that work?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you just like submit a resume and like a CV cover
where
letter?
do you go? You just show up in Shale Ghoul and
Yeah,
like,
be like, "Hey,
I would
I've
like to
done
put
these
in.
things." Like, yeah. "Hey,
Yeah.
I'd like to do you think you can pencil me in for a conversation?"
And it also kind of seems like the show is really building up to what it seems like there will be eight Forsaken. So, with some of the Forsaken dead now, RIP Sammael, RIP Ishi, is there an opening?
Yeah,
I don't
that's my
know.
question. Like, Is it like when you die, the position closes and they just make it obsolete? Or are they
It's like a
like,
layoff.
okay, we got to fill these roles?
Right. I don't know how
Ooh,
the show's going to approach it.
what if Nablus decides?
That could also be an option.
Hmm.
We'll have to
I
see.
know, I'm dying to see.
Okay, the only other thing that I wanted to touch on was this moment between Rand and Moraine earlier in the beginning of the episode, where she's talking about the Sarkarnan and he's giving her these words of, you have to control it. You have to almost,
Dominate.
yeah, exactly. And so I feel like this confirms Moraine is planning something with the Sarkarnan. I mean, obviously, that's obvious from the point of her getting it and practicing with it, but now it feels very concrete. Something
Definitely.
big is going to happen with this thing, and I'm dying to see whatever it is.
Me too. Also, I found this conversation to be pretty pleasantly surprising because it's finally at a place where their relationship can be a little bit more reciprocal versus like her bossing him around.
Agreed. We're finally, yes, we're getting ahead of that dance of dominance between Moraine and Rand.
Yeah,
So,
and it was really refreshing to see that.
yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Not that I can think of. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered.
Yeah. So, two more episodes.
Yeah.
Really excited. Anyone who's been hanging out with us, listening to these podcast episodes from week to week, thank you so much for joining us. Please give this a like and share if you're feeling like you enjoyed these. And also, if you would like to keep in touch, find me on Blue Sky, Discord, Instagram, or if you would like to help support the channel, check out Road to Tarvalon on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Help me keep my lights on. All right. That wraps it up. We will see you next time.